Morning, students. We were reading our chapter, the last lesson. We have read that how our narrator, who was our narrator, Franz, little Franz, who was already late to the school, and he was running towards the school. And when he come across the bulletin board, and then there he find out that there is something stuck on that board, which is very important. Everybody is behind. They were just all circling the bulletin board. They were just reading somewhere on that, but he was so late towards school. He was just running towards the school, and when he reached school, he saw that something unusual is there. The routine is not like as it was every day, so everything was silent. Everything was very calm, and he was very much in distressed at how he would enter the class. He's already late, but when he entered the class, there was everything silent there. Mr. M. Himmel was very much kind towards him. He didn't scold him. He didn't say anything to him. And when he entered the school, what he noticed, entered the class, he noticed that his teacher M. Himmel is wearing a new dress, or the dress or the coat which he used to wear sometimes on special occasions like Prize Day or any other occasions. So let's find out that why he is wearing such a dress. So besides, the whole school seemed so strange and solemn, but the thing that surprised me most was to see on the back benches that were always empty the village people sitting quietly like ourselves. So what the first surprising thing for him was that his teacher is wearing unusual dress at that time. He was looking very handsome. He was dressed handsomely, and everything was so strange for him at that time. So strange and so solemn means so calm at that time. And what was the next surprise for him? That surprise for him that the back benches of his class, they used to be empty all the time, but now the village people were sitting quietly like them, like those students of the class, quietly at the bank benches. And it was very surprising for him that why those village people were in his class. What were they doing there? Who were sitting there? Old Hauser with his three-cornered hat, the former mayor, the former postmaster, and the several other. Besides, everybody looked sad. The Hauser had brought an old primer, thumbed at the edges, and he held it open on his knees with the great spectacles lying across the pages. So there was people. First, old Hauser. Hauser is a person who used to work of hosiery. Hosiery is to do the printing or the coloring of those fabrics. That is called hauser. And he is wearing his three-cornered hat. He is the hauser. He is wearing his three-cornered hat. And there were former mayor there, postmaster, several others were sitting there, and everybody, they were very sad. Hauser is having an old primer. Old primer is the rule book of the French language. He is having that primer with him, and it was thumbed at edges. It was darkened at the edges. Why? Because of reuse. It was darkened at the edges, and he held it open on his knees. So he is holding it on his knees. It is open for him, and his spectacles were lying across the pages. He was looking at the spectacle, looking through the spectacles on the pages of his primer. So he was ready to read out whatever Mr. Himmel is going to teach today. While I was wondering about it all, Himmel mounted his chair, and in the same grave and gentle tone which he had used to me, said, "My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order had come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. The new master comes tomorrow. This is your last French lesson. I want you to be very attentive." So what happened? While he was just wondering about it all, he was wondering that why those people were sitting there, what they have brought together, who were sitting there and at the last benches. What happened? M. Himmel mounted his chair. He just sat on his chair, and he said in a very grave and gentle tone. Very grave means sad, and very gentle tone, he just told them, that, "My children, this is the last lesson I am going to teach you." Why? Because the order had come from Berlin that what is going to happen from tomorrow, that German should be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine from now, and their new master will be coming tomorrow, and this is the last lesson he is going to teach them. So they should all be very attentive, be very careful in his class. So now at last he informed the whole villagers, he informed the students of that class that this is their last lesson of their own language, of their mother tongue. From tomorrow they will not be able to listen to it, they will not be able to read it, they will not be able to write it, they would be able just to read, write and learn German language. So their own language, their mother tongue will be snatched by them, by those rulers of them. So this is the last lesson which they are going to read. So what happened then? What a thunderclap these words were to me. So it was a thunderclap. What is thunderclap? A sudden announcement that comes for you like a huge, thunderbolt. That kind of a thunderclap it was for him. It was a big surprise, or a big, you can say, a worst thing he could hear. So that was a thunderclap for him. So, oh, the wretches, that was what they had put up to the town hall. Wretches, he is referring here to those all Berlin people who have brought those orders. So he is calling them wretches, and now he understood that why those all people were gathered around the town hall, gathered around the bulletin board. That was the paper that was stuck on the bulletin board, that their own language has been banned in their own country, and now they are going to have German lessons only. My last French lesson, why I hardly knew how to write. I should never learn any more. I must stop there. Then, oh, how sorry I was for not learning my lessons, for seeking birds' eggs and going sliding on the Saar. My books that had seemed such a nuisance a while ago, so heavy to carry, my grammar and my history of the saints were old friends, now that I couldn't give up. And M. Hamel too. The idea that he was going away, that I should never see him again, made me forget all about his rulers and how cranky he was. So what happened? My last French lesson. So he was just realizing this thing, that this lesson is his last French lesson, and now he realized that he hardly know how to write in French. He should learn anymore. So that he can be fluent in this language, but he has to stop there. He must stop there. Then, oh, how sorry he was. Now he was very sorry that he was not attentive to his class. He used to bunk those classes. He used to search for birds' egg. He was going to sliding into the Saar. Saar is the river, and sliding into the valley of the Saar river. The Saar is jo valley hai. He used to slide at there. So he was very sorry for his bunking of the classes. He was not attentive to the classes. He was very sorry for his behavior. And then he saw that his books that were all nuisance for a while again. Nuisance is such a nuisance which is you are not happy with that thing. That thing is called nuisance. So his books were nuisance for him. They were senseless for him, illogical for him, and they were very heavy for him to carry. His grammar book, his history of the saints, these all were friends. And now he couldn't give up. And now that he has to give up, he couldn't give up. Now he couldn't give up because he really wanted to study more, but now he's not able to study it. And M. Hamel too. The idea that he was going away, and now M. Hamel would also be gone very far, and he was at that very touched at that time, and that idea that he's going far make him realize his mistake, and that idea that he would never going to see him again. He just forget all about his ruler, all about his cranky behavior. What do you mean by cranky? Cranky means strict, and just giving directions all the time. So he just forget about all these things, that he is very cranky. He used to beat them with rulers. He is very strict. He just forget all those things because he knew that whatever his teacher did, he did it for his goodness. So he was very sad. In this paragraph, in this whole paragraph, he realized all those things, that now his own language has been banned. He is not going to learn the lessons anymore, and he was regretting on the thought that he has wasted time on sliding Saar, on going behind the nature's scene, and he was very sad for himself and for sir also, for his teacher also, but he couldn't do nothing now. Poor man. It was an honor for his last lesson that he had put on his fine Sunday clothes, and now I understand why the old men of the village were sitting there in the back of the room. It was because they were sorry too that they had not gone to school more. It was their way of thanking our master for his 40 years of faithful service, and for showing their respect for the country that was there no more. So now he was very sad for that poor man, M. Hamel, and it was and so that's why he wanted to honor his language. He wanted to honor the last lesson of his language. That's why he has put those beautiful Sunday clothes, those fine or those handsome Sunday clothes. And now he understood that why those old men or those old villagers were sitting behind those benches. sitting behind on those benches. Now he realized everything. Now because they all were sorry. They all were sorry that because they are not going to read their own language, there will be no school. They were not going to school anymore, and it was their way of thanking Mr. Hamill and thanking their own language, thanking Mr. Hamill for teaching there for 40 years, and he has very faithful in his service. He was very faithful in his service, and they were all sitting there to show respect for him, for their country, which will be not theirs no more, which will not be theirs no more. Why? Because their own language has been snatched, so their own language is not going to be there. So it was very much sorry thing for them. They were very sorry for them, and they really wanted to pay tribute to their own language. That's why they all were gathered here. So read this chapter till here. Read it carefully. This chapter is one of the most important chapter of this book. So we left out chapter, we will read it tomorrow.